It is currently a top priority for the Red Sox to extend Garrett Crochet, and this source is coming from Chris Cotillo, broken today on X, showing off these images here. Welcome into Red Sox Digest. I'm Evan Sharrard. Please make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest rumors, reports, trades, free agency, game recaps when they come. Welcome back. I'm in another different setup here, but let's get right into the source where I'm getting all this information from. We've got Chris Cotillo, as I mentioned, going to get a look at the post here. Red Sox and Garrett Crochet have had some dialogue already about a long-term extension. Mass Live has confirmed this, but it's unclear if sides have gotten close yet. It's still a priority for the team. So, early stages of this news. Remember, the Red Sox just traded for Garrett Crochet a few weeks ago, bringing him in as the future ace of this team, barring injury. Garrett Crochet, a White Sox, left-handed starter, young guy, and he's got a few years left before he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So I want to take a look at the potential outlook for the Red Sox, their payroll situation, and whether or not what this deal would really mean for the team. So let's get right into all of that stuff as well. Take a look at some of these images here. This is the Red Sox payroll as of 2026 based on the current staff that they have employed. So you look at that, $152 million is their adjusted payroll, which would be about 12th in baseball with the cash total in all of baseball out of 30. So that's 2026, and then 2025 looks a little bit more like this. So you've got right now $144 million tied up, 143 overall in cash, 11th in Major League Baseball. So lots of talks have been about how the Red Sox haven't been spending money, and granted, this offseason, rather, they haven't spent as much money as some of the other teams who are building their teams right now. And there are tweets going around talking about how the A's have spent more than the Red Sox this offseason. But I actually think when you look at these numbers, it's important to note, okay, yes, the Red Sox historically have always been in the top 5 in payroll seemingly every year, and they haven't been for the past few years. But there is also this image, which I think might shock some people, that the Red Sox, let's find it here, the Red Sox, oh my goodness. Where are we? All lost. There it is, 2022. Finally found it there. 2022 payroll for a team that did not make the playoffs was 6th in all of Major League Baseball. And again, this team was one that was pushing to try and make the playoffs. And Xander Bogaerts was there, JD Martinez on the last year of his deal, Nathan Eovaldi, Rafael Devers still getting paid that $11.3-ish million that he was getting, and then Matt Barnes, the only other player on that list of the top 5 contracts. Now, this is notable because the Red Sox had a top offense, but the pitching staff was the talk of town, being not good enough to get us into the playoffs. This is why we're winning 70 to 80 games every year. It's been the talk since the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts, and as it should have remained that way. The pitching staff did not perform. But I wanted to show this here to just kind of show that even though the Red Sox haven't been making the playoffs, they have been spending the money just over the past few years, not so much to make this team contend right away. And I think some of this has to go back to when Chaim Bloom was hired, and we had to talk about how they wanted to get under the luxury tax, then they did, and they weren't competitive. But then the first year, they almost made the World Series, losing to the Astros after Yordan Alvarez went unbelievably off against the Red Sox in the ALCS. And a team that was barely making the playoffs over the Mariners beat the Rays and beat the Yankees and lost to the Astros, and fans were going, wow, I guess this team's gonna be good. And then they weren't for the next few years. Then we get back to this situation where we're far under $200 million, but still in the top 15 in payroll. And we're talking all about Garrett Crochet. Let's take a look at all the pitchers' future outlooks contract-wise until, I believe, 2029 we've got here. So these are all of the starting pitchers that are currently under the payroll. So you've got Giolito, Buehler, Sandoval, Whitlock, Crawford, Houck, Crochet, Bello. Those are the big-time thoughts for starters based on what we know before the season. So Giolito didn't play at all last season. Former ace of the Chicago White Sox, then had another down year. He was the guy that really used analytics to go from the worst pitcher in baseball to the best pitcher in baseball, and then back down and kind of averaged out. So he signed a 2-year deal plus an option, which he opted into to stay with the Red Sox this offseason after not playing at all last year. He's recovered, and now he's set to go for this next season. Walker Buehler, similar situation. He did play last season, and he had some injury trouble, closed out the World Series, and he's got one contract to get him through this season and a potential option for $25 million next year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent and opt out. Then Patrick Sandoval, another injury guy who came over because of the Red Sox training staff, and he's coming over from the Angels, has flashed really good with potential, but these top three guys are all question marks because of the health concerns, with Buehler being the most established of those three. Then you've got Garrett Whitlock, who's gone back and forth out of the bullpen and into a starter spot as well. He's been really good in both, but he's been better as a reliever. And then you've got Cutter Crawford, who's going through arbitration this season. Houck, the same. Garrett Crochet, the same. And then Bello, who's been extended for a long time. So those are the starters for the general future, at least for the next 3 years. Now, Walker Buehler can opt out, as I was saying, but here's the deal with Garrett Crochet, and I think the most important aspect here to talk about is, what does it mean for the Red Sox if they extend Crochet? First of all, if they extend him for like 7 to 10 years, that means not only do they want him to be the face of the pitching staff for the Red Sox, but they also want to show a sign to not only fans, but players around the league and organizations that we're here to compete. We're ready to go. We think we have our guy. Come to Boston if you want to win, which for the past few years has seemed like it's been a destination for players who want show me deals. And you want to go there? Okay, go to Boston. Maybe it'll turn out. Maybe you'll win. But it's always a maybe, because you get that 1-year deal with Adam Duvall. You get that 2-year deal with Kenley Jansen. Same thing with Chris Martin. Lots of players who've done that. Kevin Pillar years ago. Kike Hernandez took a deal like that. These guys came in, were there for a few years, and then left. Or were there for a year, either played well or didn't play so well, and then left. Tyler O'Neill, the latest example of the Red Sox going and getting a player who's actually younger this time and had some really high potential, and it did turn out this season. He hit 30 home runs, but then he went off and got a contract with the Orioles. Red Sox didn't re-sign him. It seemed like, all right, the Red Sox are the middle ground, and then we go off to a contender, or we go off to make our money. Red Sox signed Crochet to a long extension, which would cost a lot of money because he's a young arm who has shown that he is an exceptional pitcher when he's healthy and playing at his best. This guy's an ace. That to me shows, okay, Boston's ready to go again for the playoffs, and they're not only matching their words with their actions, but they are really, really showing us as fans and as people in baseball and other players who might sign to prospective teams that the Red Sox are for real. So if they sign Garrett Crochet to this extension, I think this would totally change the outlook of how players will be looking at Boston as a free agency destination, because they will no longer be looking at Boston as, well, are they really trying? I mean, they've had these weird trade deadlines in the past where they've bought and sold, and no other team's really done that. And it seems like they've gotten worse, but they've also gotten better, but they're really just kind of staying in the same place and waiting for these prospects to come out. And they should be coming up this year, but maybe I want to wait another year to see if they're actually going to be any good. Well, if you sign Crochet to this extension, you get that signal as a player. I go and I look, all right, I'm a free agent. The Red Sox, let's see their pitching staff. Wow, they got a couple young guys. Tanner Houck had that all-star season last year. He dropped off near the end of the year, but he was really strong in that first half and shows a lot of great potential as a guy who could be an ace with that incredible stuff, that great slider, sweeping pitch. He's awesome. All right. And they just re-signed Garrett Crochet, who they made a trade for to go get him. All right, now that's really exciting to me, especially since they sent off one of their coveted prospects in Kyle Teal, who they were touting as the next catcher in Boston. I really like that. And then you see that you've got Rafael Devers on the corner of the outfield, potentially at DH for a long, long time. And you've got the top prospect in baseball, according to Baseball America, and Roman Anthony playing outfield. Then there's that Jarren Duran guy who just broke out in center field 2 years ago, and then last year had an all-star season, and the top WAR season since Mookie Betts in 2018. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Boston-wise, especially if they're going to buy into Garrett Crochet being here long-term instead of just a razzle-dazzle trade to make it look like they're doing something. Yes, I think they're trying, of course. Every team is. These people are all professionals working in the organization. But if this deal gets momentum, like we've seen, it is currently a priority, then I think the Red Sox fortune is going to really start to change. It's something that fans have been hoping for the past few years. Boston fans expect championships, or at the very least competing for them every year, which is an impossible standard. And for most sports fans, especially fans of a team like that, that's an Anthony Miller Bears jersey in the background. Bears fans and Chicago fans know that winning does not come easily and that loyalty is key. And so right now, Red Sox fans' loyalties are being tested, but the Red Sox have stood the test of time. They are an all-time organization, and we're about to see what is going to go down with the rest of the offseason. So those are my thoughts on Garrett Crochet and the pitching staff situation right now. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Evan Sharrard for Red Sox Digest saying so long.